are into 2 months of the coronavirus, and really all of us experiencing something new in our lives, whether it be being quarantined at home, working from home, not working, being unemployed, or maybe having a friend or family member that's ill. So many of these different, and even just being with our families 24/7, which we're not usually used to. Many of these experiences that we're having, we might not want, right? They might be something that we're not very fond of. And so we want to resist them. And we put up our hands and say, no, thank you. I don't want this. And when we do that, when we resist an experience that's brought to us, that brings on suffering in our lives. Because anything you resist will persist. You can push it down, but I promise you, at some point in your life, it will continue to bring you suffering. So we need to really take these experiences in and process them and let them flow through us. So what that requires is acceptance of the experience. And acceptance is sometimes thought of by people to mean that they're accepting it for the rest of their lives, that it's okay that this is happening, and I'm fine with it for the rest of my life. But that's not what acceptance is. Acceptance is letting that experience come into your life now, letting yourself process it, letting it flow through you, and so you can move forward instead of pushing it down, resisting it, and having it persist in your life and bring on suffering. So when we accept, we can flow over these experiences, these obstacles in our lives, just like water flows through the creek, over the rocks, over the obstacles, and keeps moving forward. So we're going to tap into this water element within our bodies, within ourselves. Place your hands on your thighs and close your eyes. And just breathe in. Feeling the air pass over your nostrils and draw down into your belly. And as you exhale, drawing the air up and out as you exhale through your nose. Feeling the air pass over your nostrils. Just bring yourselves into this moment. And imagine the air as water, just flowing in and flowing out, like water flows over rocks, over obstacles, and maybe bring to mind a certain situation that you're having a hard time accepting. And just have that imagery of it being a rock in the water and you just flowing around it, over it, under it, whatever way you can, just accepting it, accepting that it's there, and letting yourself flow by it instead of trying to hold yourself up against it with resistance. And maybe keep this in mind as we go through class, allowing yourself to process this experience in your life. Take one more breath in, flowing like water. And then exhale. And with the next breath in, we'll do Om at the top of our breath. Bring your hands pressed together at your heart center. And inhale. And open your eyes. Namaste.
So to begin, we're going to come to our hands and knees in table pose. First, just tuck your toes and we're going to sit back over on your heels. Sit back, just open up the backs of your feet. There's my shadow, hello. I'm still trying to figure out the lights. So just sit back, let your feet open. And this can be a very intense pose, so if it's too much, just lean forward to take a little pressure off. Or just trying to get a nice stretch in the back of the feet and the bottom of the feet. And then come up, coming to table pose. Move the blocks out of the way. You want your knees directly underneath your hips, your hands directly underneath your shoulders, your fingers spread wide, and your toes tucked. Then we're just going to begin by moving around, making circles with our hips. And start in either direction. Just really getting lubrication and movement started in our bodies. Lubricating the joints, and then go the other direction. Making wide circles. Like the full moon we just experienced. It was so beautiful. I hope you all got to see it the other night. Opening up the hips. And then come to stillness in table pose. We're going to shift our weight into your left hand and extend your right hand forward. Shift the weight into your right knee and extend your left foot back. And just reach out. Really like you're pushing into a wall with your foot. Reaching out forward with your hand. Bringing some heat to your body. Just getting your blood pumping and getting ready to move. Reach out, press back, really bring the energy to your arms and your legs. And then you want to bend your top leg. Take your hand that you have reached out and sweep back, grab your ankle, flex your foot, and push your hand into your ankle and your ankle into your hand as you reach the bottom of your foot towards the ceiling. Getting a nice hip opener, nice quadricep opener. Also take the top of your arm and twist it outward so we have proper alignment in our shoulders as we're sitting here. And then release. Shifting our weight into our opposite hands and knees. Put the weight into your right hand and to your left knee. Extend your left hand forward and your right foot back. And with your right arm, just twist your biceps outward, really feeling the arm bone plug into the shoulder socket. Pushing your foot back like you're pushing into a wall and reaching your fingertips forward. Getting the energy moving, getting the blood pumping. Reach, reach, reach. Feel the heat building. And then bend your top leg. Sweep your arm back, grab your ankle, flex your foot, pushing your hand into your ankle and your ankle into your hand. Breathe. Keeping the shoulder alignment. Pushing up and reaching the bottom of your foot towards the ceiling. And then release. Take your knees a few inches back. Push your hips up and back, coming to down dog. Take your feet wide as your mat. Come up on your tiptoes, bend your knees, and push your inner thighs back and wide, separating the sit bones and widening the sit bones. Press your weight into the four corners of your hand and claw your fingertips a little. We want to draw the weight out of the wrists into your hands, where it can be distributed evenly and protects your wrist from injury. And then lift your inner armpits up towards your ears, melt your heart towards the floor, and just enjoy this nice hip opener. And then shift your weight into your right foot and lower your heel down to the floor as you pick up your left heel. And then switch. And just pump your feet a little. Wake up your legs. Just starting to move our muscles. And then come to stillness. You can walk your feet in a little closer if you can keep the lumbar curve in your back. Just keep your knees bent for now and your heels off the floor. Then you're going to walk your feet up towards your hands, coming to Uttanasana. Keep your feet hip distance apart and parallel. You can keep your knees bent, especially if you are a little bit over flexible in the knees. You don't want to overextend them, so always have a little micro bend in your knee. And then walk your hands out a few inches. Inhale and expand forward, pushing your head forward, crown of your head extending out, and then taking your inner thighs back and wide, extending your spine. Exhale, fold down, bow toward your heart. Inhale, walk your hands out and extend forward, expanding out. Really feeling like you're pushing down into the earth with your feet from your pelvis, and then from your pelvis extending out through the crown of your head. Getting full expansion of your body. And really opening your hips, that water element. Going with the flow, opening ourselves to what life offers us. And acceptance. Just flow over it like the water flows over the rocks. Exhale, fold down, bow towards your heart. Inhale, press into your feet, sweep your arms out to the side. Hinge at the hips and rise to standing as you reach your fingertips towards the ceiling. Exhale, press your hands together and draw your hands down to Anjali Mudra, or to your heart center. Inhale, reach up, reach towards the ceiling. Exhale, fold forward, bring your fingertips to the floor. Inhale, reach your heart forward, expand. Exhale, place your hands down and step back into down dog. And we're going to shift our weight into your right hand, taking the left hand back towards the right calf. Getting a little gentle twist. Make sure you press in all four corners of your fingertips. And just enjoy that little opening. Come back to center. Switch hands, taking your right hand to your left calf. Keep your sit bones pushing back and apart. We want to keep our torso in alignment. So pushing back. And then come back to center. Now we're going to shift our weight forward, coming to plank pose. You can lower down to the floor, knees, chest, chin, or come down, chaturanga, lowering all the way to the floor. Move these out of the way. Untuck your toes, press all 10 toes into the ground. Have your hands directly under your shoulders, fingers spread wide. Reach your head forward and round up gently to cobra. Pull your arm bones back. Press your feet into the floor. Exhale, fold down. Tuck your toes, push your hips up and back to down dog. Inhale and step your right foot forward. Bring your left knee to the floor. Inhale, reach forward, lean into your front knee. Get a nice opening in your hip. Exhale, place your fingertips on the floor. Step forward, come into Uttanasana. Inhale, reach your heart forward, extend your spine. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, sweep your arms out, hinge at the hips, and rise to standing. Exhale, press your hands together, draw them down the center, coming down to Uttanasana. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Inhale, reach your heart forward. Exhale, fold down. Place your hands on the floor, stepping back to down dog. Inhale, shift the weight into your right hand. Take your left hand to your right calf. Getting a nice opening. Press into all four corners of your hand. Claw your fingertips. Come back to center. Switch hands. Taking your right hand to your left calf. Breathe. Just enjoy the opening that this little gentle twist offers us. Come back to center. Shift your weight forward into plank. Lower yourself down, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. all the way to the floor. Untuck your toes. Press all 10 toes into the ground. As you reach your head forward, round up gently to cobra. Pull your arm bones back. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Enjoy this nice heart opener. Press your hands down and rise up, reaching the crown of your head towards the ceiling. Exhale, fold down. Tuck your toes, push your hips up and back to down dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward. Bend your knee, bring your right knee to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Lean into your front knee. Press your feet into the ground. Reaching, breathing. Exhale, place your fingertips on the floor and step forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, reach your heart forward. Extend your spine. Move back a little. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, press into the earth. Sweep your arms out to the side. Rise to standing. Reach your fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale, press your hands together and draw your hands down to heart center. Inhale, reach your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, sweep your arms out. Bring your fingertips down to the floor. Place your hands on the floor and step your right foot back into lunge. Take your back foot, so it's about a 45-degree angle, pointing out towards the right. And you want to line your front heel up with your back heel. So just check while you're down here. Press your feet into the earth. Bend your front knee. So your knee is directly over your ankle and tracking your second and third toes. We don't want the knee off to the side, sort of wobbling. So keep it nice and centered. Press into your feet. Draw your feet towards one another. And then rise up to your front knee. Inhale, reach up. Coming to Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. Pressing into your feet. From your pelvis, push out through your feet. And from your pelvis, reach up through your fingertips. Feeling that nice, this is a really good hip opening pose. Really letting that water flow. Letting the emotions out. We can't keep them inside. It's good to really have a release. Inhale, and then exhale, bring your fingertips down to the floor. Place your hands and step back to down dog. Take a breather here, a few rounds of breath. Always adjusting and taking advantage of all these positions, these poses we come in, moving our bodies in these different shapes, allowing our hips to open and really feel that water element within our bodies. And inhale, and slide your right foot forward, taking your left foot, so it's about a 45-degree angle. Checking that your front heel is in line with your back heel. Press into your feet, bend your front knee so it's over your ankle. Bring your hands to your front knee. And just take a moment here and soften and breathe. Really opening up and allowing the emotions to rise. Right? You're practicing by yourself at home. This is the perfect time for this to happen. Really let anything you've been holding inside, let's let that release tonight. Inhale, reach forward, reach up towards the ceiling. Press into your feet from your hips, and from your hips reach out, expanding your body out and breathing. Deep breath, filling the belly. And then exhale, place your fingertips on the floor and step back to down dog. A few rounds of breath. And then we're going to step our left foot forward between our hands, coming to lunge. And I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. I'm going to take our back foot so it's parallel with the back of the mat.
This time we're going to have our heel bisecting our foot at the arch. We're going to press into our feet, rise up to our front knee, and then just take a moment to breathe. Pressing down into the feet, drawing the feet towards one another as we strengthen our legs. And then from there, we're going to bring our fingertips down to the floor and push your hips back and wide. Really separating the sit bones, feeling your inner thighs turn in and back, opening up our water element, letting it flow. And then rise up, keeping that opening. And then draw your tailbone in just a little as you bend into your front knee. Feel your belly tone. But we want to keep our back leg in alignment. We want our ankle and our knee and our femur all in a line, our hip bone in a line. And then take your front arm, place it on your front knee. Fingers spread wide. And then take your arm bones back, opening up your heart, and reach your fingertips forward. Over your ear, reaching out. We don't want to jut our hips forward, making sure our back leg stays in alignment, keeps the hips nice and open, and keeps the belly toned. And reach out from the core of your pelvis. Reach out through your feet and up through your fingertips. Breathing. And then from here, we're going to take our block, if you need a block, placing it on the inside of your front foot. Place your hand that you had on your knee onto that block on your fingertips. Reaching out and then straighten your front leg. Coming to a version of triangle or Trikonasana. Reaching out. Breathe. And then inhale, raise your right hand up towards the ceiling. Stand up and pivot your feet so we're facing the other direction. Bring your block with you if you need it. From here, we'll have our back foot parallel with the back of the mat and our front foot pointing forward. Draw your feet towards one another. Strengthen your legs and then bend your front knee. This protects our joints as we strengthen our legs. Press into the outside of your back foot, making sure that doesn't rise up as we come into these positions. Push your hips back and wide. Put your fingertips on the floor or your block. Hands to the front knee. Draw your tailbone down, engaging the lower belly. Place your front arm, the forearm on your front knee. Other arm on your hip. Pull your arm bones back. Open your heart. And then reach and sweep your arm over your ear. Pinky down, thumb up. Rotating your arm into the shoulder socket. Pressing into your feet. Feeling the strength and the length in our bodies. Breathe here. Making sure the back foot doesn't pop up off the floor. Really pushing all four corners of our feet into the earth. And then taking your block if you need it, drop your bottom arm down to the floor or to your block, either one. And then reach your top arm over your ear and then straighten your front leg. You can press the back of your hand into your leg, really helping you open up a little wider. Engage your front quadricep and reach out. Breathe. And then reach your hand up towards the ceiling and rise up. Now we're going to grab our blocks and turn back the other direction and just have them on either side of your mat. Face the front of your mat, coming in about the center. Take your feet about 2 or 3 feet apart, depending on what feels comfortable to you. We're going to place our back foot so it's pointing towards the front corner of your mat, so you're going to have it out at an angle. Your feet in a line and draw your feet towards one another, squaring your hips and strengthening your legs. And then inhale and reach up. And as you exhale, we're going to reach forward
Bringing your fingertips down to the floor or to your blocks and pushing your hips back and wide. Bring your hands to the blocks for intense side stretch pose. And just breathing here. You can have them up as high as you need them. This is fine. The main action of this pose is to stretch the hamstrings. So you want to just stretch the front hamstring. Doesn't matter how far down you are. If you can come down farther, you can take your fingertips back behind you and sort of draw your fingertips forward, drawing your knee to your nose. Otherwise, just rest in this pose, just feeling that nice opening in your hamstring and your hips. Then I'm going to walk our right hand to the outside of our left foot. And you can use a block in this as well. Take your left hand up to your hip and then reach upward, coming to revolved triangle pose. And this pose is also wonderful against a wall. So let me show you that option. So you can come about a foot away from your wall, a little bit more. Coming into that same position that we were before, so drawing the feet in, reaching up and out, coming down towards the floor. You can also use your block with this. Place your right hand to the outside of your left foot, and then we're going to take our left hand up towards the wall. Just bending your arm and pushing your fingertips into the wall. This is a great balance assist, and just really is a great way to practice this pose. And then release. Place your hands on your hips and rise to standing. And with our feet and go back the other direction, bringing our blocks with us. Placing our right foot forward, left foot behind. Place your feet down. Your left foot, your back foot should be pointing towards the left front corner of your mat. Press into the ground and draw your feet towards one another, scissoring your legs, feeling your hips square, your legs strengthen. Inhale and reach your fingertips up towards the sky. And as you exhale, expand outward, going forward, coming down to the floor, hinging at the hips. Bring your hands to blocks or to the floor. Push your inner thighs back and wide. You can draw your tailbone down just to feel your lower belly engage, supporting your spine. Come to whatever level feels good. A lot of times, both sides of our legs are not the same, or both sides of our bodies are not the same, so you might have a little more flexibility in this leg, or less. And then inhale and expand out, pushing into your feet and expanding out from your pelvis through the crown of your head. Really reaching out. And breathe, taking your hands back if you have that flexibility. And then bring your left hand to the outside of your front foot, staying up on your fingertips. Inhale and reach your right hand forward as you twist to the right. Reach your hand towards the ceiling. You can also come to the wall like we just went through with the last position. Reaching up. And then release back down. Inhale, hinge at the hips and rise to standing. Now we're going to come to face forward. You can stand at the front of your mat or in the center of your mat. Inhale, reach up towards the ceiling. I'll step back a bit so you can see me. Take your left hand and grab your right wrist. We're going to draw over to the left, rooting down your left foot. Rooting down your right foot, Pressing your hands into one another, strengthening your arms. And then twist
slightly, bringing your top elbow forward as you look towards the floor, getting a little bit more opening in the right side body. Remember to breathe. Inhale, come back to center. Switch hands, drawing over to the right now. Rooting down your left foot, pressing your hands against one another, strengthening your arms. Inhale, and as you exhale, let your top elbow dip forward as you gaze towards the floor, really rooting down your left foot. Breathe. Inhale, come back to center. Release your hands. Now we're going to come to stand with our feet hip distance apart and parallel. Bend your knees so that we keep our knees behind our toes. So look down, you can make sure you see your toes. And then we're going to shift your weight into your right foot. Take your left foot and cross your foot over your knee. Okay, coming to standing four pose. Another good balance pose. So you can gently press on your left thigh with your other hand. Flex your foot that you have crossed over to keep the strength in your legs. Protect your knee, protect your joints. And really push your inner thighs back and wide, separating your sit bones. Really feeling an opening in your left hip. And then inhale, we're going to take our foot and our knee gently in our hands. And inhale and rise up, bringing your leg with you. And just holding here. It's like a standing king pigeon prep. And then release to the floor. Now we'll switch to the other side. Press your feet down. Bend your knees, pushing your hips back and wide. Shift your weight into your left foot. Take your right foot, crossing your ankle over your left knee. And really pushing your hips back and wide. And the more you do that, the more you'll feel an opening in your right hip. Gently place your hand on your right thigh. You can push down just slightly. Helps open it up even more. Flex your foot that's crossed over. Keeps that energy in your muscles. Breathe here. Rooting your bottom foot down into the earth. Feels really good. And then inhale. Grab your foot and your knee gently and bring them with you as you straighten your bottom leg. Coming to standing king pigeon prep. Breathe. Pull your arm bones back. Open your heart. Just a really good balance pose. And then release your foot to the floor. Stand with your feet hip distance and parallel, pressing all four corners of your feet into the ground. Shift your weight into your right leg. Lift your left knee, take your hand and sweep it over your leg, grabbing your ankle. Press your hand into your ankle and your ankle into your hand, strengthening the your bent leg. Then inhale and reach your right hand up towards the ceiling, fingers spread wide. Really feeling an opening in your left quadricep. Pressing down with your standing foot and reaching up with your fingertips and with the crown of your head. Reaching towards the ceiling. Finding that balance by drawing into the center. So you can stay here, but the next step would be leaning forward. Put a little micro bend in your standing leg. Lean forward, finding a focal point on the wall or on the floor in front of you, which in yoga is called drishti. So we're going to lean forward, press your hand and your foot together as you reach the bottom of your foot towards the top, towards the ceiling. Leaning forward, finding your balance to baby dancer. And if you need a little help with your balance, you can use a wall in front of you. Just leaning against the wall. Just breathe here for a moment. And if you wobble, it's fine. It's part of it, just playing with your balance. Really practicing rooting that foot down in your standing leg. And then inhale, back to standing. And we'll switch sides. Feet hip distance apart and parallel. Press down with your feet. Shifting your weight into your left foot. Lift your right knee. Take your hand to your ankle. Pressing your hand and ankle together. Strengthening your bent leg. Pressing your foot into the ground. Inhale and reach up. Fingers spread wide. Take a few breathers here. Pull your arm bones back and open your heart. And breathe. Keep a little micro bend in your knee if you tend to hyperextend your knee. Protects your joints. But still pressing down and keeping the energy there. And then reaching up with your fingertips and the crown of your head. Growing tall. So stay here or take it to the next step. Or you want to lean forward. Find your focal point, find your drishti, reach out and reach the bottom of your foot towards the ceiling. Find your balance by drawing inward, drawing towards your center, reaching up, pressing down, and reaching out. And breathe. Breathe, and then inhale and rise up, and release your foot. Come to stand at the front of your mat, with your feet hip distance apart and parallel, and inhale and reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, sweep your arms out, bring your fingertips down to the floor. Place your hands and step back to down dog. Inhale and raise your left foot high in the air. Come up on your fingertips and step through to lunge. Drop your back knee to the floor and walk your foot to the left of center. And so your toe is pointing outward on the mat. Now, you can stay right here. Okay, lean into your front knee, stay up on your fingertips. And if you need even more a lift, if that's your back is rounding too much and it feels very uncomfortable and your hips not open, come up higher on your block like this. If you want to come down farther, you can put your block in a lower position and come down on your forearms. Press your knee into your shoulder. And then if you are very flexible in your hips, you can bring your forearms down to the floor. It's a little bit uncomfortable for me, so I'm going to stay up on the block. Press into your back toe and lift your back leg. This is lizard pose, so really press down. Breathe. Really good hip opener with that water element in the location of the hips, really finding some release here. Letting yourself open up to any resistance you're holding, opening to acceptance, and letting that experience release you. Press down, and then release your back knee to the floor. Come up, placing your block out of the way if you're using a block. Place your right fingertips on the floor. Sweep your left hand back as you bend your back leg. Grab your ankle. Lean forward into your front knee And press your hand into your foot and your foot into your hand as you pull your arm bone back. Breathe. You can also bring your elbow to the floor if you have enough flexibility, or to a block, which is not quite comfortable for me, so I'll stay up here. Breathe here. Lean into your front knee. This really opens up your quadricep and your hip. Keeping energy in your legs to protect your joints. And then release your foot to the floor. Place your fingertips on the floor and step back to down dog. A few rounds of breath. A few rounds of breath. Pressing into your hands, bending your knees. Inhale, raise your right foot high in the air and step through to lunge. Bring your foot over towards the right and bring your back knee down. Have your block nearby. You can use your block or just stay on your fingertips here, or coming down to the block or to the floor on your elbows. Press your knee against your shoulder and press into your back toe as you straighten your back leg. You can always stay here if that's enough. Pressing back and breathing. Feeling the opening in your hips. Just breathe here. And then release your knee to the floor. Move on your fingertips and you can place the block out of the way. And we're going to lean into our left hand as we sweep our right hand back, bending our back leg, grabbing our ankle, and then leaning into your front knee as you pull your arm bones back and open your chest. Or lean into your front knee. Feel that opening, pressing your foot into your hand to keep the energy in your legs. And as I said earlier, you can come down on your left elbow if you have enough flexibility in your hips. Breathe. Just enjoy that hip opening experience. Just really feeling the flow of water through our bodies. Letting go of resistance, opening up to acceptance, and feeling that release. And then let go of your back foot. Place your fingertips on the floor and step back to down dog. Take a few rounds of breath. Raise your left leg, come up on your fingertips, draw your knee in, and bringing your foot to the right of center. Laying it on the outside of your foot. Bring your back knee to the floor. And we want to have our shin parallel with the short end of our mat. And if this is tweaking your knee in any way, you can move your foot back so it's a little less tension on it. And also, if you have bad knees, you can also skip this pose and come to your back, doing this instead. Crossing your knee over, your foot over your knee, and threading your hands to the back of your thigh, pulling inward. That opens up your hip as well. This is sort of a upside down version of that. So taking our foot out, as straight with the front of your mat as you can, your shin. Flex your foot that's in front. And it's nice to have a block sometimes with this, especially if you're tight. Brings you up a little higher, helps you hold yourself up. And then you want to take your right hand and press into the bottom of your right foot. And really press. This really helps release your hip. It's amazing how much it releases your hip, actually. This is one of my favorite poses for trying to get my hips a little bit more open than they are. Very, very deep opening. Just letting everything release. Letting your emotions flow. A lot of the hip openers are connected to our emotions and are connected to holding on to these past traumas or experiences that we've sort of pushed out of the way. So if you're feeling any emotional release, that's great. Time to get it out. But this is definitely a deep hip opener. And then to release, place your right hand on the floor. Come gently up, placing your other fingertips on the floor and stepping back to down dog. And just breathe, just noticing how different your hips feel from one another. Seeing if your left hip might be a little bit more open than your right after that position, after that pose. Breathe here. And then inhale and raise your right foot high in the air. Come up on your fingertips and step through to lunge, bringing your foot to the left of center. Coming to the outside of your front foot and dropping your back knee to the floor, keeping your toe tucked. Have your block with you if you need it. Setting it to the level that you need right now. And letting your knee drop down to the floor. Remember, you can always go to thread the needle by laying on your back and crossing your knee, your foot over your knee. Press your hand into the bottom of your front foot. As you flex your foot, you have to protect your knee by flexing your foot. You can always draw your foot back a little bit so it doesn't have to be exactly parallel with the front of the mat. Pressing down. And you can adjust your back foot as well. If you starting to get a little bit more open, you can move your foot back. Hoping you're feeling a little release. Maybe being able to move your block out of the way if you get down a little bit farther. And pressing here. If you can come all the way down, you can lean forward and rest your head on your forearms, or reach your hands out and rest your head on the floor. Let's breathe here. Not the most comfortable position, but a very beneficial one in many ways. And then place your left hand on fingertips on the floor, your right fingertips gently untwisting yourself and coming back to down dog. Ooh, and breathe. That was the hardest pose of the night, so give yourself a little pat on the back and let yourself breathe here, finding a little release in down dog. Then bring your knees down to the floor as wide as the mat. Bring your toes together behind you and just sit back into child's pose for a moment. Cross your hands over and rest your forehead on your hands. Just rest here just for a few breaths. Bringing attention to your breath. Releasing into the earth and feeling that support. Then come up, and we're going to turn and just sit on our back sides with our feet extended out. take your thighs and turn them inward on both sides so that you have a little bit more groundedness as you sit down. If you want to sit on a folded up blanket, you're welcome to do that, or on a block. Take your left knee and bend it, placing your foot on the floor. Now this is step one. You can do this. I'll face you so you can see. Step one is your foot here. If you have a bad knee, just leave your foot here. The next step would be to cross your foot over on the other side of your leg. And the third step would be to stack your knees by pulling your foot back towards your buttocks and letting your knee rest on one on top of the other. Keep your top foot flexed and your bottom foot flexed. Inhale and reach up. And then you can lean over and grab your foot. You can just grab your knee and pull yourself down. Just want to keep your back fairly straight. You just don't want to have a rounded back. So keep your back straight, either holding onto your knee or onto your foot. Keep your feet flexed and just breathe here. Nice calf opener, especially. Breathe in and rise up, gently untwisting your legs, and we're going to switch sides. Bend your right knee, keeping it here. Now, especially if you have bad knees, please don't go any farther than this. If not, you can cross your foot over or stack your knees. Flex your back foot, draw your foot towards your buttocks. Hold onto your knee, lean forward, or grab your feet. If you have your foot like this, you can just stay right here and breathe. Breathing in. Breathe. It helps to push your foot and your hands towards one another, as we do in many of the other poses. Just keeps energy in your leg, pretends drawing muscle to bone. It's much easier for your body to release into a pose when you give a signal to it that it's safe to stretch. And how we do that is to strengthen our muscles before we stretch. A little paradoxical, but it does work. Inhale, come up. Release your feet. So you're just sitting in Dandasana. And then you can have a strap. Or if you're flexible enough, you don't need to have a strap. But you can just loop this over your feet. And then gently pull yourself down. Until you feel a nice opening in the backs of your legs. You can come down if you're able to without rounding your back. If you can feel your whole torso against your legs, you can come down. And just breathe. Again, another big calf opener. Inhale and rise up. We're going to come down onto our backs. Just come down onto your back. Bend your knees. You're going to face your knees up towards the ceiling with your feet flat on the floor. Bend your elbows with your fingertips pointing up towards the ceiling, bringing them close to your torso as you can. Pressing your elbows down. And then press into your elbows and you feel your shoulders lift. You can draw your shoulders together just slightly, just so sort of wiggling your shoulder blades towards one another. and then gently lay down. Lay them down. Press your sit bones down into the earth so that you have a lower back curve. You can put your hand underneath your back here. Keeping that, inhale and raise your right foot high, then bend your foot over your knee. Keeping this, we're going to press into our lower foot into the earth and raise our hips up in the air. Letting your right knee drop off to the side. Now you can take your hands underneath and interlace your fingers, coming onto your shoulders a little bit more and pressing the back of your head gently into the floor. And really expand out from your palate, out through your knees, and from your knees down into the earth. Drawing your bottom foot back towards you isometrically. Feeling the back of your body engage. And breathe here. And then release your fingers and lower yourself down gently. And undo your foot. You're going to switch legs, so press into your feet. Inhale, raise your left foot high, bend your knee and cross it over your right knee. Pressing your knee out. Flexing your foot. Inhale, press into your foot, raise up. You can interlace your fingers behind your back, wiggle your shoulder blades towards one another, and let your left knee drop down, opening up your left hip. Expand out from your palate, out through your knee, and down into the earth, and then draw your bottom foot towards you. Feeling the back body engage. And breathe here. And then undo your fingers and lower yourself down to the ground and release your foot. Now we're going to just let your hands relax down beside you. Take your feet about hip distance apart. Press into your feet, lift your butt up, and just scoot over to the right, just a few inches, lowering back down, and then letting your knees drop to the left. To make this a little bit more intense, you can take your bottom foot and cross it over your knee, helping to open up your hip just a little bit more. Extend your hands out to the side, and you can look back towards your right hand. Breathe here. And then release your foot from your knee if you went to that position. Bring your knees back up to center. Push into your feet and scoot your hips over towards the left a few inches. A few inches left of center. Drop your knees over towards the right as you gaze towards the left. Taking your bottom foot and crossing it over your top knee if you want to get a little bit more opening, a little bit more stretch. Flex your feet. Just rest here. One more breath. And release your foot. Bring your knees back to center. Push up and come back to center with your buttocks back to center. Extend your feet out, coming to Shavasana. Let your feet fall out to the side. Place your hands down on the floor. Palms up, just completely relaxing into the earth. Breathing in a nice natural pattern. And And slowly begin to make your breath slightly deeper as you feel your belly rise. Always breathing through your nose. And completely release into the earth, feeling your jaw release, your forehead, any tension that you have. You want to just let go of. Looking at that point of resistance within you, opening to acceptance, and letting it release you, letting it all flow out. Feeling your heels fall into the earth completely, feeling that support, letting the backs of your legs completely release. Feeling muscle fall away from bone. Feeling your hips release into the earth. Feeling that support beneath you. Letting your arms fall, completely releasing. Your shoulders releasing. Just focusing on this moment right now. There's no place else to be this moment. Let your jaw release and your forehead release. Completely relaxing and letting go. Feeling the beauty of acceptance as it releases you. Rest here as long as you would like. Thank you for joining me, friends. Namaste.